GCR wealth transfer is close. Impromptu discussion. I plan on discussing just surface level information. By the way, I'm your host, John Dorsey. This is the original channel at Dorsey's Resource. The new channel is at Dorsey's Resource 873. That's the new channel I have in the description. In case you're wondering, you can migrate over there if you've been subscribed. Just to make you guys aware, I want to give a big shout out to those that continue to rock with me, those that have stayed loyal throughout the years. Appreciate you for following me. I do have a public service announcement. I just found out an update last night, by the way. My original Twitter account at Dorsey's Resource that I did put in the description of some of the videos over here earlier on before this channel was shadow banned, was connected to a smaller channel that I had. It appears as though it says suspended. I did get hacked, by the way, back in April. For those who may be unaware, towards the end of April, I received a Yahoo email stating that my email address had been changed. I did not authorize this at all. Just to give you guys a heads up, by the way, in case you're wondering, I did not authorize this, but I just discovered that last night I did a search and I was not able to pull up my original Dorsey's Resource Twitter account, which is now X. I forget, want to say formerly, I'm still used to calling it Twitter, but it's formerly Twitter, now X account. Unfortunately, it appears as though it's suspended. I did reach out to the tech support. I did a while ago once I found out that my email address was changed without my permission. In case you guys are wondering, some of you all, I had a lot of followers. I had up to approximately just over 850 followers the last time I checked a few months ago. I didn't log on there as much, just from time to time, periodically, but it appears as though the bad guys, the evildoers, they've taken down my account. By the way, somebody out there, I believe, has had an agenda. I also had a bank account recently, 2 debit cards that had been hacked. And that's another update I found out. I won't say the name of the institution that I bank with, but those who know me personally, those would know, who I bank with. By the way, I found out they still do actually have a fraud department. I was contacted by the fraud department. They told me they were of a separate department because I thought I was told my institution no longer contacted people by phone, but I was told this particular department. I did ask them some questions to verify who they were this time, so I was not scammed again, like what happened to me back in December. That's a whole separate story. That's neither here nor there for the time being. But however, they were able to answer the security questions, and it was a similar situation to what happened in the past. Someone tried to use my debit card information overseas. As the fraud alerts department was monitoring it, tracking it in real time. Fortunately, they stopped the transaction. They did not allow the transaction to go through. Unfortunately, my debit card was taken down, and at the time, currently, that's the only institution that I bank with, and was only my only access. It was convenient for me, by the way, because even though cash is more private, I'm used to liking the convenience of the debit card. But I've even known for a long time it takes discipline, but it's particular way that one should operate. But without further ado, let me get into the intel. The title of the video, once again, is going to be, how do we know that the GCR global currency reset wealth transfer is close? Question mark. This is an impromptu discussion. Once again, I want to thank those that continue to stay loyal, that rock with the channel. Well, what I've heard recently, I was contacted back around towards the end of April. The last time I checked the date, I believe somewhere around the 21st of April, someone sent me a video, a private source that I had, and stated that it was going to go in 3 days, because I was just having a conversation with someone else that was texting me, and I was just sharing my opinion with her. But this is like some more updated information. I have my own sources, and I am an insider, by the way. In case you're unaware, uh, I recommend going back, watching my older videos on this channel. You're free to download, but I cannot check my back office anymore on this particular channel. The only reason I'm able to do StreamYard is has enabled me to still be able to do content over here, to be able to go live and do videos, by the way. But other than that, this channel, I had a smaller channel that this was connected to somehow. And when my smaller channel was taken down, in case you guys don't know, are not aware, it was a completely separate channel from this channel. But this channel wasn't taken down. It was a smaller channel. So that's why, in case you're wondering, I can still go live. But this was actually my larger original channel, by the way. I had another channel on YouTube some years ago that I actually deleted on my own. I actually deactivated. In case you're unaware, that was a long time ago. I don't remember exactly when I got rid of that particular channel, but that was quite a while ago. So just wanted to give you all a background in case there's still newbies, new subscribers. I did see there was a flux of some time ago. I had new subscribers still coming over here, but in case you're unaware, go over and migrate to my newer channel at Dorsey's Resource 873. So whenever I put out new content or updates, you guys can be aware, which I did do a video over there recently that can provide some more insight and complement this video with the intel that I'm about to go over. So I was shared sometime before, towards the end of April, going into May. It appears things are getting ready to come to fruition, but I was told by another separate private source that this whole reset thing is currently unfolding. I've went over this in the past, that this is related to the banking system is completely being revamped and changed completely all the way around. It's being restructured, and it's going to be based around digital assets. They're going to stop calling it crypto, by the way, and XRP serves as a catalyst under this new banking system, and it's already being utilized in other countries as part of its ledger system. I won't get into the specifics. I'm not an expert, by the way, but you have the XRP ledger system that's already on set, and there were some other things that was shared with me. So that's part of it. I was informed allegedly when that price of Bitcoin goes up, because there's analysts out there, there's channels that are very good at knowing how to read the charts between the Fibonacci charts. It's kind of like similar to a weatherman. By the way, there's people that are really good. There has major similarities that can read the crypto charts and can predict. And from what I hear, XRP follows a similar pattern to Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin goes up, XRP follows, or it runs basically parallel. But under the new system, XRP is supposed to become like the new form of Bitcoin. And there's other particular chosen currencies I was informed that it's supposed to be attached to, as well as precious metals. By the way, I was informed part of this reset. It's not a coincidence. How we know, why I put in the title, how do we know that we're close to the reset unfolding, is before, just prior to the beginning of this year, silver and gold started breaking records. It was already happening. I can't remember the exact date last year, but I noticed a pattern even going back from 2024. I started to notice a consistent pattern as I was checking coinflation.com every day back then, more consistently than I check it now. And I was noticing a pattern, and I can see. So that's one of the ways we know that the reset is close, because I was told by private sources that I have, and I have witnessed a YouTube channel that I follow of a guy down in Florida who used to talk about silver originally, precious metals quite a bit. Then he shifted down the road. He shifted to cryptocurrencies, which is cool. because I actually wouldn't have gotten into crypto at all if it wasn't for him. And I wasn't a big fan of crypto at first. Originally, I will admit, I wasn't a fan of it because I felt like it was like insider trading. Some people were allowed to know about Bitcoin, and I felt that wasn't fair. I should have known about it a long time ago, and that's why I will admit I do take that personal. I'm salty about that. It is for what it is, but I felt I should have known about Bitcoin much earlier than expected than when I did find out, because there were some other things I was part of some years ago. You know, when those prosperity programs used to be talked about, which that's not really discussed as much anymore, but that was supposed to be part of this reset, which has changed numerous times. This new so-called GCR stands for Global Currency Reset. In case you're unaware, under this new system, it's going to be they're going to move away from calling it cryptos to utilizing the term digital assets, because the society is gearing up towards, they're moving towards a paperless, cashless society. Now, cash will still be around for a while because some people wondered, had questions about this. And I remember watching someone else, I won't say the name, of an individual I followed for a while that has had some accurate reports, accurate predictions that have seen in real time manifest and come to pass. And I actually like his work. By the way, he mentioned these things years ago before they would take place. Is how I know that the reset is unfolding. But one of the ways that you're able to be aware is the price of silver. Even though there was a pushback after January of this year, when silver reached an all-time high around $120 per ounce, 118 or somewhere, I forget what it was exactly. And then there was a big crash after that. Well, lately it's recovered sort of. Gold fell back down from being above 5,000. It was above 4,600 the last time I checked, and silver was above 80, but it had pulled back. I didn't check today to see where it was at, but it's still up there compared to where it was at a couple to a few years ago. Is significantly a big difference, because one of the things my source warned me of is that you will know when the changes start to happen. They won't be able to continue to manipulate the price of both silver and gold. Has been manipulated and has been suppressed for a very, very long time. This has been going on for a very long time, but we're coming into a time where I was told under this reset, they don't allegedly want people double dipping. I think I remember hearing years ago Tony TNT talk about double dipping. I've heard this discussion had amongst other people in the dinar community, or people who talked about this many years ago, that they did not want double dipping. And I even remember individuals saying that they knew how to basically, I guess, forecast. They were good at knowing how to read the financial charts and analysis. That after this reset occurs, don't be surprised if you see a big drop in the price, a crash before everything resets again to a sustainable level, because they've got some tricks up their sleeve as well. And I'm aware of that too. So just be cautious. So even if you do see the price of silver and gold shoot up overnight, this time you want to take advantage. If you feel like you want to sell off some of your profits, I will, just, I'm not trying to give any advice out there, but it is for what it is. Back in January, silver started reaching well past 100 before it reached this all-time high. Ultimately, before right before the month of January was over with, going into February. By the way, and there was were those I've heard. There's a guy I follow on YouTube who's in the Hawaii area that has a real big, huge following, and he knew already and said a lot of his followers or paid subscribers and members benefited from that intel that he gave. I said if I had known, I would have been able to better maneuver and make some moves. But this time around, I'm also hearing it's right around the corner, that I just don't know exactly when, But don't be surprised if silver hits triple digits again. Gold cracks up not only above 5,000, but gets to 6,000 something, but it's going to reach a resistance level. Then there's going to be a level of support before it moves to the upside, basically, for those that are aware. But this is how we know that the GCR is close. Uh, I am still in discussions with one of my private sources who shared a video with me, and I've just found that interesting because I had followed or I knew someone else, and I'll compare notes to match up data and information to see how it aligns. And so far, it looks like it does align. But I still don't know. It's just a matter of we've heard this before. Like we've been sold this hopium for years. So I don't want you guys to necessarily get in a mode to get your hopes up too high, because I surely don't get it necessarily excited anymore. However, at the same time, this time does feel a little bit different. So we actually, I do believe we are a lot closer, much closer than we've ever been before. And one of the things that we need for this to happen, I was informed quite a while ago, is this Clarity Act. We need members of Congress to politicians to sign off on it. That's what they're trying to do, because this is coming from really high up, from what I hear from certain individuals. And if that doesn't occur, because there's, of course, a rift going on. There's politicians, they don't get along with Trump, and they think, he's the mastermind behind this particular. I'm trying to remember what it's called. This Clarity Act. So I was informed that there's Democrats, a lot of Democrats that don't want to see that pass because they want to see people poor in the condition that they're in. I was also informed that it's a few Republicans who are rhinos, that stands for Republicans in name only, or neocons, that are members of the deep state that are also connected to the cabal, just like the Democrats are heavily connected, that do not get along with Trump and feel like the Clarity Act is part of his agenda, even though it's coming from higher up and not just him specifically. Because even if Kamala was in, they would be, there would be trying to push that through. But Intel has referenced in the past that Democrats, a lot of times when the dinar was supposed to revalue or happen at different times, it was stopped. Hillary Clinton's name was thrown out there, Obama's name at one time. But I know Democrats want you dependent. They want you on welfare. They don't want you becoming rich or wealthy, so they can control you better. For those that know, that studying the sovereign movement, sovereign citizen ideology, they're making money off the birth certificates. That's what the T-bills, the registered securities being sold on the secondary market, the primary market. So it boils down to, you have criminals in the deep state that are trying to stall this, but their time is up, and then they're just going to make things much worse for themselves if they keep, doing this, because this wealth transfer is supposed to occur. It's also supposed to be biblical, even though I don't get necessarily religious, but they time this. The people behind the curtain who, are in control of this, try to set things up like around the Bible, like scriptures and stuff. It's like their playbook. If you play football or you have a coach, you know how to play sports, and the coach has a playbook that the team prepares for certain schematics against another team, and they make adjustments, preparation. So this is what the cabal has been doing, has been trying to stop this. That's why I recommended a documentary years ago, in case you've never watched it before. If it is still available on YouTube, you should be able to watch it for free. It was called Changes on the Horizon. Check out the documentary called Changes on the Horizon, that talked about the Saint Germain Trust. There were some things that were a bit sketchy, esoteric, but generally across the board, it was very well put together documentary to kind of give you insight how the cabal uses this debt-based Federal Reserve banking enslavement system to keep people in the condition that they're in, and they're very wicked. and they blackmail politicians and use dark money and stuff like that. And there's the good cabal are trying to put an end to some of this chaos that the evil cabal are doing. Because I remember when I happened to watch Stu Peters' show. I'm not someone you could say that's watched it in a very long time, but there was a guest that he had one time, I remember, and there was a particular woman on his show who stated she used to work for the government and said she had signed non-disclosure agreements and said that they are trying to blow the planet up. So I would assume that's the evil cabal that wants depopulation. They're into wars, playing lab viruses. They have black sites, that are off the grid. Those actually do exist. That's what I was telling a friend of mine with the show X-Files from years ago with Mulder and Scully was based off of, real information, by the way. This stuff is not gobbledygook or what some people think that is made up. No, these things just don't happen by coincidences. These writers are people in Hollywood, the entertainment industry, and you studied the cabal and you know what goes on behind the scenes. They use predictive programming. That's one of the things that Nick Rockefeller admitted to former movie producer Aaron Russo years ago after he befriended Aaron Russo, and Aaron Russo did interviews and gave his testimony behind his eyewitness account of knowing Nick Rockefeller personally. In case you're unaware, excuse me, Aaron Russo was the guy that did the film documentary called America Freedom to Fascism. Aaron Russo was a former movie producer. He produced the movie Changing Lanes with Eddie Murphy, some other films, and he made a documentary called Mad as Hell or something like that before he produced the documentary America Freedom to Fascism. And somehow Nicholas Rockefeller saw the documentary and saw, he was disgruntled American. He didn't like what was going on, I guess, exposed some things. And Aaron Russo also ran for governor of Nevada some years ago. So Nick Rockefeller's lawyer privately contacted Aaron Russo, in case you're not familiar with the story. And when she contacted Aaron Russo, she said, "Would you like to meet Nicholas Rockefeller?" And Aaron agreed and said yes. So he told after he got an inside look, similar to how Pastor Lindsey Williams knew and met elites of the world. This is why this Illuminati stuff is real. I tell a friend of mine, more people are aware. A friend of mine refers to them as the Lale Lule Lo, the Amun, the shadow people, the people that are hidden, by the way, behind the scenes. They are very real and they plan out events, but there is a faction of them that is like very, very evil, that is into eugenics, population reduction, wars, and other horrendous things like child sex trafficking, Satanism, stuff like that, that gets into. And there's videos. You have to maybe watch a lot of stuff to connect the dots with, compare notes with the investigation I've done. I've already done my investigation already. There's books I can point you to. The Franklin cover-up, look up what that was about. The Franklin scandal on eBay. These things are interconnected. I was even considering doing a series called Beyond the Epstein Files, so people could connect the dots. A lot of people felt like there wasn't enough information that was released. With those of us who've been studying so-called conspiracy theory years ago, we know there's a such thing as conspiracy facts and conspiracy reality, things that happen in real time. Something that's not theory is something that's theoretical or not proven. However, there are things that have been proven to be factual that have happened, that have been well documented. Even when the FBI did a report some years ago on so-called, different groups, and they released a report that went public, they said that there are some conspiracies that are actually real. See, they have to give you an out. They can't completely lie to you or gaslight you. They had to tell you and admit the loophole. I always look for the loophole, but what they don't want to admit, they have to give you that little 10% that's 90% actually of the truth, but they want you to think it's 90% false. But they had to put it out there. If you remember that report that came out some years ago that the FBI did, and they admitted, they said that there are some conspiracies that are true. Why would they do that? It's just something to think about, because a lot of people were putting out the evidence. If you remember, former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, former Navy SEAL, wrestler with WWF, years ago, who had a show on True TV called Conspiracy Theory. By the way, in one of the episodes that was banned, they did on FEMA coffins with Homeland. I heard Homeland Security was seen by over 15 million Americans, broke records that particular night. They never allowed another episode of that show to air again, by the way. But, you know, certain individuals have copies because those who know from years ago about the torrent sites, uTorrent and WinRAR, have access to all of those episodes. And there's ways to get and find those things in case you're wondering or skeptical if no one else has uploaded them for you to watch for free on YouTube. Keep in mind, you also have other web hosting platforms because, as I mentioned about the shadow banning and the censorship, like Rumble is one. There's also other versions of Twitter. There's Getter. That's another version. You have Minds.com. You have Gab.ai. You've got Trump's platform, Truth Social. Mike Lindell had a platform. I can't remember what the name of. I think his platform was called Frank Speech. Frank Speech. That's Matt. Mike Lindell from My Pillow developed a social media site called Frank Speech. I think it's similar to Twitter. So there are other platforms. Don't trust the mainstream media. The mainstream media, also known as the legacy media or corporate mainstream media, worldwide corporate mainstream dinosaur media, some call it, cannot be fully trusted. I always recommend to people that you cross-reference information with the independent media, independent journalists that, you know, I follow particularly throughout the years, a libertarian. They like to throw Alex Jones and try to make him to be, but he's actually a libertarian. It's actually his specific political party that he's affiliated with. I myself personally am not a registered voter. I'm you could say more along the line similar to an investigative journalist, forensic researcher, or forensic historian. And I'm not connected to neither political party, by the way. I'm not funded by Republicans or Democrats. So compared to a lot of people who talk that they can take a neutral approach, I'm neutral. You know, when I give my stance or share my position, I'm only reporting the information to my audience, my followers, who I encourage to do their own homework and do their own research. That's why a lot of times I would give a disclaimer, which I'm going to put forth now, that please keep in mind this video is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes. Everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person viewing this video or any or all of my videos in the future and the past to make their own assessment. It is encouraged that you do your own homework and research. Don't take Dorsey's word for what he says, but research the information. And I'm pretty sure you will come to similar conclusions if you don't come to the same conclusion as myself. This is not legal, financial, securities, tax advice at all. It is encouraged that you seek a competent professional. Always, in any of my previous videos, future videos, it's all for educational purposes only. They are not intended for legal, financial advice or securities advice. None of the above. Every person, an individual that watches my content is responsible for their own commercial affairs. By continuing to watch this video and continuing to go further past these statements that I'm making, that is your tacit agreement that you accept the terms of this verbal contract, this commitment, and that you will abide by that. And everyone is responsible for their own commercial affairs. So keep that in mind. It is encouraged. All rights are reserved, and you are responsible for your own commercial affairs. So don't just take my word for what I say, but I encourage those to always research the material or information that I go over verbally. I might not always have the opportunity to use the good special graphics or software, but I can give you the tools to research and investigate on your own, the same tools that I have, as we all have access to the internet, AI technology. You have the Perplexity app. I ask it questions, even about dating stuff, Chat GPT. They're awesome. So we have a lot of research and technology at our disposal where we don't just have to depend on just the traditional norms as we used to, and technology's getting better. This is another reason why the elites want a controllable system. They don't want people to have access to life extension technology. Those are the med beds that you hear about quite often. The celestial chambers, known as the hyperbaric chambers. I remember Michael Jackson was famous years ago. They used to try to make fun of him, like the tabloids and things, but it was more expensive at the time. And then you have something called red light therapy, which is similar technologies, because the elites, they don't want, they want us poor. They want us in a condition because you're more controllable. And because the Democrats I just mentioned, just using as a reference, are in their pockets, many of them have sold out and are paid off behind the scenes. It's not in their interest. They don't want you to be wealthy. They want you to be poor. But at the same time, there are repercussions in this universe that you can face. The universe has an interesting way of getting people back. Newton's third law of physics: to every action, it's an equal and opposite reaction. Karma is very real, and then you can apply the Bible if you get religious. The pastor years ago used to tell me that there was a colloquialism for what the Bible states: whatsoever a man soweth, he shall also reap. So to every action is equal and opposite reaction. So these people that are holding up these riches, they're going to get an Uno reverse, and they're wondering if they have a mysterious death in their family, if they're a politician or have someone that they were close to mysteriously hurt. That's from their karma that they're putting out. So when you don't put out good energy in the universe will get you back. And the elites are very aware of this. Pastor Lindsey Williams talked about this, even though they're very, they don't play fair. But he stated they have a code of ethics because they understand they have spiritual rules in the universe that they are supposed to follow. When they have done someone wrong, they can face repercussions themselves. If it's a helicopter crash, if it's a plane crash that happens unexpectedly, just know in many cases that was the karma, just using this as an example for the evil that they committed: raping or trafficking children, oppressing people, raising people's rent costs, having an evil spirit. My sensei even told me and taught me years ago that it may seem like they get away with certain things, but he said it still comes back. The universe has a unique way. So that's why you put good energy out there, you get good energy back. But as I'm just simply a messenger, just wanting to spread the idea, because some don't think that it's possible and think that they are invincible. These people are not invincible at all. They're actually very afraid that many of the population is awake to the truth, and they're trying all that they can to try to suppress the knowledge, the technologies. This is where you hear about this so-called UFO disclosure thing going in. It was actually a seminar this past weekend. I heard the scientist Dr. William Greer was there in attendance, who he did a second interview that I saw with Alex Jones not too long ago, right before Alex Jones's website and channel was taken down. And Dr. Greer stated, as a scientist, they tried to kill him, but they were not successful. So thank you, Dr. Greer, for your work. And from listening to that interview was amazing. You're a brilliant person. I understand the technology that you went over from that particular device that had like magnetic propulsion, very advanced technology, how you guys were able to figure out how old that device was, 10,000 years old. I can understand. You made sense to me. And some people, maybe their minds are not smart enough to process the information, but I was able to understand what you were talking about. So I appreciate the scientists, the inventors out there that are awake. We're going to have to help each other out and get through to this, because a friend of mine said, why do the evil people find a way to team up with each other, but the good people, we have to find a way to come together, because light always prevails over darkness. So we will have to expose what they are doing and continue and not be afraid, and stay at it and bring to light, because that's one thing that they hate. They don't like to be exposed. So, I went over a mouthful, said a lot, but getting back to the intel, the topic of this video is, how do we know that the GCR wealth transfer is close? This was an impromptu discussion I hadn't planned. We know it's closer because if you study and you consistently follow each day the price of silver and gold, by the way, and also Bitcoin as well. Just like generally speaking, when they both are when the market is up, generally speaking, they do well a lot of times. You'll see people that are invested, their stocks are up. So one of the indicators, but I hear this next go around, XRP is supposed to go really high, and it's going to be tied in. Bitcoin, silver, and gold is supposed to go up. But remember, I don't give specific dates or rates because there's people behind the curtain. I was informed allegedly the good cabal, they're in control of this. So I'm just passing along with there's people that may be at higher levels, and this from my intel sources that I have. I have, a particular source in the south, from where I'm at in a particular state. I'll say close to the Ozarks. By the way, I'll just say the Ozarks Ark of Oz that shared with me, one of my sources near the Ozarks. I'll say that shared with me, some things. So these are indications how we know that we're closer. But at the same time, I'm not telling you to just go jump up and get too excited, but just keep your eyeglasses on because this thing could go. And they told us to be, to get prepared. So I'm still working as many others, getting my house in order. That's code language for establishing your trust, structuring yourself, maybe your finances, getting your plans, prepping, emergency preparedness, things of that sort. For to get prepared, what they say, what's that saying? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So expect the unexpected, but at the same time, you may be better equipped if you've already been getting prepared. But that's one of the ways we know for sure, because one of my sources told me many years ago, they always knew they would not be able to continue to manipulate the price of gold and silver especially. It's been heavily suppressed for a number of years, and it's finally breaking out. And once it reaches certain levels, they're not going to be able to continue to suppress it. And it's going to get to a point where those all-time highs, it's going to get to different levels where it's going to multiply. And that's why I told one jeweler, I said, you'll never probably see prices like $20, $30 silver again. Those days are long gone. I said that a long time ago. You could see a big significant drop, but I heavily doubt you will see prices that low again. But once we reach, the several hundred and it gets, stabilizes, that's indication that, because keep in mind, it's also indication that the dollar is losing its purchasing power. The dollar is weakening because you're making an exchange. When you understand the history of precious metals, constitutional silver, currency that used to, remember at one time, our Federal Reserve notes used to be redeemable in silver and gold. This is evidence. You can even buy some of those memorabilia notes at coin shops or pawn shops or certain places that sell those those type of memorabilia, by the way, to show evidence, by the way, that at one time our currency. So you have to ask the question, why did they remove the gold and silver at the time that used to be redeemable? Because there was a lot of people that were alive back then, back during those particular time periods. But see, they've had to create a way to establish more control over the masses, over the people. But just something to keep in mind, you have to think, use critical thinking. So keep in mind, back in the day, there was still a lot of people all across the world that were born or were here in even the United States. So, but there was a mechanism to how they set this system of control up. And that's why I encourage you all to watch those documentaries like Money Masters, Monopoly Men, Changes on the Horizon, especially will give you an idea. Aaron Russo's movie documentary called Freedom to Fascism that also guest stars Sherry Peel Jackson, the other tax guy, Joe Banner. I can't really remember it, or his name was it Baxter, something like that. I have a paper from years ago that has an article that USA Today did that was given to me, by the way, for many years ago. But those are documentaries will help give you an idea and give you a point of reference. So with that said, before I shut the video down, I'm going to go to the comments and acknowledge who's in the house. Just show on stage. We got Nichelle. Thank you for joining, Nichelle. Appreciate you. Let me see. Go to the next comment. Hit show stage. We got what's the name? Says Victor Enriquez. Says what question mark? Says where you been, my brother? Good to hear from you. Thank you for joining. Yes, I'm still here. I'm still around. Appreciate you all for joining. By the way, and those that continue to rock with me. So I'm trying to remember, was there any more intel that a lot of things are in place? I know some people didn't believe in the exchange centers. I never really touched on those because that more so deals with the private sector, and the people in the public, the statutory side, don't really understand the private sector. Then they're not going to understand what the exchange centers are about, or what that is separate from when the market rate happens, when this goes worldwide and finally activates. But I heard a long time ago banks are already ready. There's certain screens that are bankers that have higher tier levels than lower level bankers in the ranking system that are able to access the back screens, that are able to show what the rate is. But the exchange centers that deal with contract rates are more so for people that have an understanding of how the private sector works. And that's why I never really touched on that, because I know some people out there didn't believe in the exchange centers. I could see. So I said I had an idea, understanding of it, because I attended a private event some years ago by invitation only. And I didn't know at first until some years later, I got confirmation that that was even tied in with this whole reset thing. So they don't want to allow everything to go until this reset occurs. They want everything to go all at once because they don't want people double dipping. And after things hit a certain amount with the price of crypto, XRP, Stellar, certain cryptos are going to be tied or pegged, I hear, to precious metals. By the way, there's going to be some type of connection, and there's not going to be that much manipulation anymore. They're going to stay consistent. It's not going to be as volatile, and the volatility like with the swing trades like it used to. Once it gets to a certain level, then I hear people are going to get priced out. And then you don't have to worry. I know there's some people who are concerned in the future would they lose certain assets. You have something called tokenization that's coming down the road. So there's going to be a way that you'll be able to exchange things that are valuable for and to your new digital assets or digital currency. That's tokenization is going to be part of that. So, for example, you may have your tangible gold, for example, which is about 4,000, and say you need to access that, or real estate property. There's going to be a way for you to convert that. I'm not an expert, but that's what tokenization. I was also told by one of my private sources. With tokenization, it's based on the whole banking system. It's being revamped. Everything's changing, and also the reset is currently unfolding now. There's things happening behind the scenes. I was also informed out there from another call that I cross-referenced information from, that is certain banks that were giving this a hard time. Not only the politicians, but certain banks as well that don't want this to happen, but they can't stop it. And I knew about this, that the banks want to get rid of the crypto exchanges because they want you to have to come straight through them. That's why they were trying to use the Securities Exchange Commission to regulate the crypto exchanges out of existence, because there's something going on. Because when the dust settles, they only want a handful of cryptos to remain left. The elites have certain cryptos they've chosen. This is why I would say you have to be very careful with meme coins. It's kind of like playing Russian roulette or gambling. I don't know exactly when that they plan on getting rid of the meme tokens at one time. So you want to be invested in the coins that I was informed that are going to be part of their. I did a video about this, by the way, on this channel. And, I've done some preparation myself, but just being just passing intel because there was someone who asked me recently. There's some things that I know that she asked me about. She sent me a video, so I felt I needed to do another video to kind of give an update. But this whole banking system is being changed. It's being done behind the scenes as well. I'm not in control of this. I know there's people that may be upset. I wasn't too happy, like I shared earlier, about Bitcoin, because me personally, I wish I had known about it earlier on, by the way, because I felt like certain people were given the knowledge pertaining to it very early. It's like cheating, like how Martha Stewart got in trouble years ago for insider trading. And that's just where my pet peeve personally, where I'm, not necessarily the big fan of Bitcoin in general, but just sharing this intel that was shared with me a while ago, and I just connect the dots. And there are some YouTubers and people who are in the know who are still public. By the way, it's interesting. I've heard on Brian Jung's channel, he's mentioned about the DTC. So I'm interested. There's some others I've heard mentioned about the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. There's a Mason channel. I can't think of his name. By the way, there's some other guys there. They happen to be appears though they're in the know. By the way, so they're saying that this XRP thing is going to be the opportunity of a lifetime. But just keep in mind, just be careful. Use wisdom out there. This is not financial or legal advice. I did give a disclaimer. This is just passing intel. I'm simply a messenger that the banking system is being changed around. They're going to stop calling it cryptos. They're going to be moving to, they're already referring to as digital assets, digital currency. It's not cryptos. They're getting away from that. And they need this Clarity Act. Once it passes, it's going to be the main catalyst. And from there, a lot of times when there's major catalysts, right before there's been run-ups with certain cryptos, or they call them a pump. Like let's say before XRP, you might see a pre-pump. Once the Clarity Act passes, you're going to see a major, a quick spike, a pump. Don't be surprised. I can't say, because they can manipulate the market as well. I've seen flash crashes before. Like one day I woke up on Exodus some years ago and I saw a major flash crash with Stellar. Blew my eyes away. I wish I had got in. I had just missed it. I had just woken up. But it allows the elites or those that are in the know, for the people that are in control of this, who know how to time the machines or clocks and stuff behind the scenes, behind the curtain. It allows their inside buddies to buy it up and scoop it up dirt cheap. But it just happens for a certain time period. They swoop in and then the rate went back up fast. But I couldn't believe my eyes. I had just woken up from a nap that day, and I logged into my Exodus wallet at the time and saw that Stellar Lumens, which is connected to XRP, had a flash crash and had crashed significantly. I had heard of stuff, but I happened to catch it in real time, but was not able to take advantage of it fast enough before it went back up to its regular price. But had I been able to take advantage of that, boy, I could have been maybe even now, if not a multi-millionaire, would have had several hundred thousand right now. But hey, it is for what it is. Hindsight is always 20/20, like a friend of mine tells me quite a bit. So let me know what you guys think about the video so far. I'm getting ready to shut things down. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Was this a good video? What have you guys heard on your end? What's your plans? Just give me your thoughts, your feedback, and subscribe to the new channel at Dorsey's Resource 873. I did a video over there very recently, like a few days ago or whatnot, and it'll complement this video, by the way. But I talked about some other things that went kind of esoteric too, but there's some things I touched on that are related. So with that said, that's the intel so far. So just, be on standby, keep your eyeglasses on. Until next time, everyone have a great and wonderful day. Hope you guys, stay safe out there. Until next time. Don't forget to like, rate, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace.